Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked, blissed. Dr. Shealy, are you blissed?
You bet.
I am so glad. Oh, geez. It's great to hear your voice.
Always great to be with you. And I've been thinking about the fact that you know that we need 2 more feet of snow to catch up for normal rainfall for this month.
Wouldn't that be nice?
You know, it takes 12 inches of snow to equal 1 inch of rain.
Mm-hmm.
And we were over 2 inches behind by the end of last year, so we're now 4 inches behind.
Yep.
Which means we need 4 feet of snow. Not like they get it.
The animals, well, that's rough on them, you know, when we have snow.
I know it is. Remember, I lived in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah. Class, let me give you the call-in number in case you'd like to call. 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. And we've got a telephone listen line that's up and running, live. It's working. 605-562-6564. 605-562-6564. Dr. Shealy, I was wondering if you could prescribe something for me to help me deal with my frustration. I want to tell you a few stories, if I may. But first, I'll tell you what. Why don't we get into what's new with Dr. Shealy, and then I'll get into my rant.
Well, my rant is, for 50 years, I've been trying to push people to be healthy. And, you know, I wrote a book back in 1977 called 90 Days of Self-Help. Well, I'm rewriting it as 30 Days of Self-Help, hoping that more people will take 30 days who won't take 90.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're coming from. I really do. So, 30 Days to Self-Help. Okay. When do you think that'll be out, Dr. Shealy?
Well, I finished the 3rd chapter yesterday. I think I'll finish the book within another month, but it'll probably take another 6 months to get it out. But, you know, maybe by fall.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I'm looking forward to discussing with you on the air the contents. Well, are you going to be able to discuss, you know, as
sure.
the book progresses?
You know, to me, it's all very important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, is it okay if I go into a rant? Actually, it'll be about 3 or 4 different stories, but they all tie together with the same theme. All right, here we go. So, yesterday, we had a calf born, and our class probably knows that I'm a cattle farmer. And when the cows give birth, the calves are at the mama cow's temperature. Well, it's freezing cold. It's, let's say around almost 0 degrees here. The wind is blowing. It's bitter. And the ground is covered with snow. And so last night, we got because it was so cold, the calf was just born, soaking wet, shivering in the freezing cold, and would die if we didn't do something. So we brought the calf into our garage, put some hay down, and put the calf, the calf is about 100 pounds, the size of a large dog when they're first born. And we put the calf on some hay, and I immediately called a company called Orscheln Farm and Ranch just at 5 o'clock. And I said that we need some colostrum. And I explained this to the gal that answered the phone. She said, we're closing. So I said, can I talk to the manager? Can I talk to the manager? So the manager comes on, and I said, hi, I'm Vin Finelli. I'm a regular customer of you guys. I know the store manager. he would recognize my voice. And lately, they've been pretty good to us. Meaning they, like if we want to buy a bundle of fence posts, they'll load them on. And so I've talked to the store manager about quality and attention to detail. And so we've actually helped them get their act together by me complaining about, these young people who don't know what they're doing when they handle things for customers and they beat up the trucks that they put them in. And so we got all that fixed. So I was on the phone with the store manager and I said, I'm Finelli. I'm a regular customer, and we just had a calf born. It's freezing cold. The calf is soaking wet. We just got it. We need some colostrum. And she said, we're closing. And I said, yeah, I know, but what I'd like you to do is, can you just go get a bag of colostrum and throw it out the door, and we'll come and pick it up right now. She said, no. I said, my calf is going to die if it doesn't get colostrum. All I want you to do is just go to, get it, and this is a $25 item. Okay, it's just a bag of stuff. It's kind of like getting a bag of flour. That's what we're talking about, except very, very lightweight. And just leave it outside, and I'll come get it. She said, no, we're closing. So I said, my calf is going to die if I don't get colostrum. She said, I'm sorry. I couldn't believe it. I absolutely couldn't believe it. So what do? I call the store manager at home. He's off that day. And I said, hey, Carl, this is Vin Finelli. He knows who I am. I said, this is what I need. He said, you can't do it. We've had customers who we've done that for in the past, and they don't pay their bill. They don't pay for it. And I wanted to say, what's that got to do with me? Because I do pay my bills. So the bottom line is he wouldn't do it. So what am I going to do now? Well, I'm going to call the CEO, okay, of Orscheln. It's a chain. And I'm going to explain the situation. That other people's bad behavior is not a reflection on me. But they said they don't take credit cards over the phone. So what we're talking about is this is just about business.
Now, that's bull. Well, excuse me, you know what it is, bull. Something, too.
Yeah.
That's an insult to the bull.
Yeah. So what I'm discussing right now, Dr. Shealy, is this is just one indication that I have of the societal meltdown of the United States. The lack of concern about the customer over profits. That's what this is. Lack of trust. Now, it's bad because a few people probably have cheated the store, either by intent or by forgetfulness. But the store doesn't appreciate it. But that doesn't mean I would do that. So now we're all being treated the same way because of a few, allegedly. And that's just, I don't know. It's kind of like when you go to see, not Dr. Shealy, but another doctor, and the first thing they want is your insurance. They want to make sure they get paid first. Before they treat the problem, they want to make sure that they get paid. This is what's happening in society, and I can't stand it. But that's just one sample. I've got several samples of this that have happened in the last week. But before we do that, Dr. Shealy, do you have a comment, Dr. Shealy, on anything I've just said?
Yeah. What I'm about to say is 99% of people, only 97% of people do not have enough common sense to take care of themselves, let alone anybody else.
Yeah.
That's how bad the situation is. If people won't take care of themselves, how can they have any energy or thought of helping anybody else? Mm-hmm. That's the whole reason that I've been pushing this concept for the last 50 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, Dr. Shealy, we've got Jeff in Chelsea, Massachusetts. Welcome, Jeff. You're on with Dr. Norm Shealy.
Thanks very much, Vince. I'd like to ask the doctor a couple of questions because sure. I've heard that they were in the medical field for 50 years, and I'm open to learn new things. Now, I live a very healthy lifestyle. I do most of my shopping at Whole Foods, a little bit at Trader Joe's, a little bit at Demoulas, and I do try to live an organic, healthy lifestyle. But I have very, very minor carpal tunnel syndrome, and I have very, very minor tendinitis in my Achilles tendons, I have very minor pains in my back. Now I stretch every morning. I used to take up martial arts. I exercise a couple of days a week, and I have a very active job in security, where I do a lot of walking tours. Now, what's your counsel on how to fix tendonitis in the Achilles tendon and carpal tunnel syndrome? I went to a chiropractor for my back.
Okay, you are a perfect example of the fact that in today's world, no matter how well you eat, you cannot get enough vitamins and minerals. You are highly deficient in vitamin B6 and in magnesium.
Oh.
The recommendation is 1,000 milligrams of vitamin B6 daily for only 30 days. 500 milligrams of B6 for the second 30 days. And then for the rest of your life, 100 milligrams of vitamin B6 every day of your life. That's the foundation. Never go beyond those limits. Now, number 2, magnesium lotion. You need almost take a bath in it. You cannot absorb magnesium adequately through the mouth. You must put it on the skin. In your case, I would use 3 teaspoons twice a day for at least a month, and then 2 teaspoons twice a day forever. In your case, I'd be sure to rub a little bit of it on the wrist, the front of your wrist, as well as on your shins. But you need it. Yeah, you must get that magnesium and the B6. It will probably help your back somewhat, but it'll be particularly good for your shins and your carpal tunnel.
Oh, wow. I have a question. Why vitamin B6? I'm listening to you because I have vitamin B6, but I take it and this doesn't go down well with me. I try to supplement my vitamin Bs through red beef, vitamin B12. I try to eat red beef monthly, and I generally eat organic turkey and organic ground turkey and organic tuna fish, line caught. So I try to go for this for that type of stuff. But that's some great advice, and I will definitely take that to heart. Thank you very much. I'll hear the rest of your comments off air.
Okay.
All right. Dr. Norman Shealy and I'll be right back. Sharon in Montana is on the line, and you're up next, Sharon. Class, Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, medical doctor, and author, broadcaster, farmer, researcher, PhD times 3. Sharon in Montana, welcome.
Finished the last one because there were a few things I needed to say.
Oh, okay.
He is a perfect example of why I personally will not pay extra for buying so-called organic.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, even if you can get the best grown stuff, we need today maybe 25 times as much of the basic vitamins as we did 100 years ago or even 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't trust Whole Foods. I know unequivocally they have cheated and lied about some of their stuff, and therefore, how do I know? It's like going to the casino. How to know which stuff is real and which isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't trust it in any other grocery store because they lie. If you're willing to pay for it, fine, but it still means everybody, as an adult in today's polluted world, needs a minimum of a 25 milligram B-complex supplement.
Minimum of 25 milligrams B-complex.
That's the least.
Okay. Yeah, that's minimum. Okay, so what I wrote down for your recommendation for him was 1,000 milligrams of B6 daily for 30 days, 500 milligrams of B6 daily for the next 30 days, and what was the third component
100 for the rest of your life of B6, 100 milligrams.
Balance of life.
Is of the basic 4, B1, B2, B3, B6. B6 is the lowest in nature. And so we need more of it for all kinds of things, but most especially carpal tunnel syndrome and heart disease.
Okay. And Dr. Shealy, you also recommended magnesium lotion 3 teaspoons twice a day, then 3 teaspoons a day for forever, correct?
3 twice a day for the first month, and then 2 teaspoons twice a day for the rest of his life.
Okay. Very good, very good. And I noticed that he said that he has red meat monthly. Monthly, is that adequate?
Well, I was also going to point out there's not much B complex. There's B12, of course, but not much of the basic Bs in red meat or turkey.
Okay. And is having beef monthly, is that sufficient, or is it not sufficient?
I think a minimum once a week, preferably at least twice a week, as long as you get other, fish and poultry, etc. as well. Okay. In other words, the evidence is overwhelming that people who eat red meat have longer telomeres, which means they live longer.
Okay, red meat minimum. Now, did I write this down? Red meat minimum of twice a week?
Minimum, yes.
Okay, minimum. Very good. We've got Sharon in Montana. Welcome, Sharon.
Oh, good morning. Hey,
good morning.
We have some friends of ours that are older than us, and he's developing a major shake, and they're concerned that it's Parkinson's. And I was wondering if there's something he can do to stave that off.
Well, first, second, and third, again, he needs a minimum of 25 and preferably 50 milligrams a day of B complex.
Okay.
And he should try both Earth and Crystal Bliss. My experience is that combination, if it's early, can make a huge difference in all kinds of treatments, but even Parkinsonism, within a week or two.
Okay. Yeah, she's concerned because it's getting worse. They are going to go through, the testing and stuff, but, I just wondered if there's something they can do to keep that from progressing.
I would definitely do the Bs, and I would, I'll also, anytime the brain's not functioning optimally, lecithin is good. Lecithin granules, 2 heaping tablespoons twice a day. And then for the treatment, I would definitely try Earth and Crystal Bliss.
Mm-hmm. I have another question since you're mentioning vitamin B. I'm honestly kind of confused. It's like you said, it's B1, 2, whatever, 5, and then a B complex. You got a break coming, huh? Maybe you could explain the difference to me on that on the other side?
Sure, happy to.
Thanks.
Sharon, it's so good to hear your voice. Thank you for calling in. We'll hold, Sharon will be holding through the break. And class, if you'd like to call, 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. We'll be right back. That's Dr. Norman Shealy's with us. If you'd like to go to his website, normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com. Dr. Norman Shealy. Sharon, please continue.
Well, you wanted me to talk about the difference about the
Yeah, there's a whole variety out there, that you can buy, and I don't know what's what really.
In general, B complex should include essentially all the Bs. B1, B2, B3. Bs were really discovered back in the early part of the first 40 years or less of the last century, when pellagra and beriberi were really rather prominent diseases, and they can kill you. They are serious deficiencies in the basic B1 and B2. B3, niacin, is also essential, and each of them has not a single function, but multiple functions throughout the body. But what I call the basics of B1, B2, B3, and B6. B4 and B5 are sort of iffy. They were called vitamins at one time. They're now considered nutrients, but not as critical as a B. And then, of course, there's folic acid. And some people need not only folic acid, but methylfolic acid, or methylfolate, and B12, which is perhaps the one that becomes, in ordinary people, deficient more often than any other. And that's one of the ways where I would like to, I call it teasing, but I'm really concerned about vegans. I consider it a fetish to be a vegan, because there's no way you can live without B12. And there's no B12 in the vegetable, fruit, nut kingdom. And so I always say you're going to have something made by animals or you're going to die if you don't get B12. And, of course, again, some people need methyl B12. And some people after age 50 or 60 can't absorb it because you need something in the stomach called intrinsic fat factor and hydrochloric acid working together to absorb B12 when you take it by mouth. So it's a very complex interrelationship, but B complex. All of the Bs are a basic essential for everyone. In today's polluted world, I would say instead of the 1 or 2 milligrams that they used to recommend for the basic 4, we need 25 milligrams today.
Okay, is that of a B complex? Is that would be your best choice?
Yes.
Because they do sell them separately at places, and I've actually
well, they do, but I put together years ago what I call Dr. Shealy's Essentials, and 2 of these will give you the 25 milligrams of B complex and all kinds of other traces. So if you don't take anything else, you need something that strong.
Okay. Well, like I said, I was always kind of curious, and since you mentioned the B vitamins with this situation, I thought, hey, I'll ask you about that too. But that's actually all I had to ask, so thank you.
Sharon, before you go,
I
wanted to ask Dr. Shealy a question that may relate to what you're seeing in the symptoms with Parkinson's. Dr. Shealy, when I was in Virginia, I noticed that I'd go shopping with my dad, and he started to shuffle. Like it seemed like when we were in the supermarket, he wouldn't lift his feet up high enough, so it sounded like he was sliding his feet across the floor a little bit. And I said, Dad, what are you doing? You're shuffling. He said, okay. And he would be able to compensate for that, and then a couple seconds later, he'd be shuffling again. And so eventually, we brought him to a doctor, and what they did was they were trying to figure out what was wrong with him. And they brought in a specialist, and he stood behind my dad and grabbed his shoulders and just pulled him backward just a little bit. And my dad lost his balance. And from that little test, the doctor determined that he had Parkinson's disease.
Well, I guess the shuffling itself is a clue. That's
yes.
One of the earliest symptoms before the tremor is the shuffling of the feet.
Mm-hmm. And then the doctor found that he had trouble with his balance by just pulling him backward a little bit, and he seemed to lose his balance.
Yes, and there's another test called the Romberg, where you have them just stand straight and put both feet together, and then I put a hand on both shoulders and ask them to close their eyes, and they will start with falling. And I have with a hand on the shoulder keep them from falling. The same kind of test to prove that they, don't have good proprioceptive feedback.
Sharon, does that help?
Yeah, I'll mention that to his wife. His wife's real concerned because, honestly, he's a very ambitious man. I'm going to guess around 70s, and he's still working part-time, and it's getting really difficult for him to be able to work because of the tremors and stuff. So,
right.
I'll ask her about that. I meet her pretty often, so I'll see whether they've noticed. I know they are going to try to do some tests, but I was just wondering if there's something to slow it down, or if it was that, So,
right.
But I think, all the answers I wanted, so you guys have a great day. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thanks so much, Sharon.
Okay. Bye.
Dr. Shealy, there's a very simple medicine that is prescribed for Parkinson's, and it seems to help with the symptoms. Does that have any long-term negative effects?
Well, it can have a few complications, but mostly what happens is it begins to lose its effectiveness after 4 or 5 years. But it's one of the better drugs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it seemed like as I remember correctly, my dad would get like a quarter of a tablet, and then it would be half a tablet, and then pretty soon it was like 2 tablets.
Exactly.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
That's one of the problems with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I'm trying to remember the name of that drug. Okay, all right. Let's see. So back to the rant. what I'm seeing is a meltdown of society on many levels. So we got a call at the farmhouse that one of our neighbors had no brakes in their truck, and this man was in his 80s, and he took care of his truck very well. And as he got, he used to do all his own maintenance, and he would do his own hay. And he got sick, and so he would have other people do hay on a 50-50 split, which meant that he would get half of the hay, and someone else would cut and rake and bale the hay. Well, they asked our son to do the hay for him, and so we took care of it, and they were really pleased. So next thing you know is they want us to help them with their truck. So we put the truck, we got the truck here, and put it up on the lift, and I noticed something very strange. The oil filter was leaking, and I've never seen that before. I've never seen an oil filter leak. So I mentioned it to my son, and we looked at it, and so I said, well, why don't you call the owner? By the way, the husband died in the meantime. So we're looking at the oil filter, and she said, oh, yeah, we had the oil changed, but they didn't have the right oil filter, so they put the Olin back on. I'm stunned. I've heard this a couple days ago. I'm still stunned that anybody would do that. How is it possible that a company can change the oil, not have the oil filter, not be willing to go get another oil filter, and put the old dirty oil filter back on?
That is negligence and malpractice, period, in report.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't... just commenting on craziness.
Yes, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this meltdown. So I was talking with my wife in the kitchen this morning, and she said, well, there's another part of this story. So of the hay that we baled, there was one bale left over. So we said, you know what, 50-50, yes, but the extra bale is yours. So we left that with the farmer. Well, she went to sell the hay, and the guy said, well, I'll need nine bales plus 8 bales. And so what he did was they agreed that he was going to take 9 plus 8. Well, he actually took 10 plus 11. And then he says, not only does he do that, he says, I don't have enough money to pay for the rest, so I'm not going to pay you.
Oh, God.
This is the same widow we're talking about. What I'm saying is, here just more examples of what is wrong with people. I would think that if he absolutely positively needed the hay to feed his cows, he could say, ma'am, I'm really sorry. I really need a few extra bales. I don't have the money to pay for them. Can you help me? Can I pay you, later? He just stole them. That's the kind of stuff that's going on. So then this morning, just before the broadcast, I get a call from this lumber supply company. I've been dealing with them. We bought all of our materials for the entire house. Everything from these guys. And so we spent a lot of money with these guys. I'm talking about shingles, doors, sheetrock, framing, everything except for the concrete and the stone. Everything else we got from these guys. Well, I got a call. I wanted to buy a door, a French door for our dining room, and a door to match it on the other side of the dining room, and I'm going to convert that to our studio. I wanted glass doors. So I got a price from them, and I got a price from another company, and the other company was a little bit lower. So I said, I'm going to order them from the company that we've been doing business with for years, 13 years. And so I placed the order with the manager, wrote down the prices, and that was on Friday. This morning, just before the broadcast, he called me and said, hey, Vin, the price has gone up. And I said, what? He said, yeah, it's going to cost $100 more, rough numbers. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, the guy that gave me the quote from the factory quoted the wrong door, and so they're going to charge us more, and I'm going to charge you more. I said, well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to call and get the manager and tell him to eat the mistake. They made the mistake, not you, not me. They made it. They should eat it. So after the broadcast, I'm going to get that call. But this is the kind of thing that's going on. The customer's getting screwed over and over and over, and it's an outrage. Everyone all set? Cocked? locked. Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Dr. Shealy, I just wanted to mention that, when we had our computer manufacturing business, if I made a mistake, if I added up something wrong and it was in the customer's favor, I just ate it. It was simple as that. And I think that's the way business used to be, right? If the company made a mistake, they just ate it. They didn't go back after, to try to recapture from the customers. Isn't that the way it was?
Well, yes, but you are ignoring the most important reason for the big change, government.
Oh, yeah.
When have we had a Congress that was worth the air they breathed? When have we had a president who was honest, unequivocally, beyond all doubt whatsoever, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah.
I mean, let's look at Clinton. What a horrible, horrible role model he was. Bush, in my opinion, was more pleasant about it, but I think he made 2 grave errors. First of all, invading Afghanistan, and secondly, invading Iraq. But I'm not even sure about the Twin Towers, whether that was not an inside job. And then Obama, the worst of the lot. And Congress, I mean, they're not worth air, let alone the food they consume. So from the top down, the role models don't exist.
That's absolutely true. We don't have heroes anymore. We've got people who have been wearing their hats backwards for so long, for decades, pants falling down. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. I remember when I interviewed a candidate for a secretarial position when I was in California at our corporation. I interviewed this young gal, and I said to her, so, would you consider yourself a neat person? And she said, oh, yes. I said, okay. When was the last time you washed your car?
I love you.
And then I said, it was a horrible interview for her. I said, when was the last time, you cleaned out the interior? Let's go look right now. And we went outside. And we looked right in the parking lot at her car. Ronald Reagan did say something that I thought was pretty good. Trust, but verify, right? Trust, but verify. Oh, yeah, I believe everything she was telling me. So let's go see it.
I understand. I'm with you. I was interviewing someone last week to take over a receptionist because Kendall left. And the first thing I asked is her birth date, and she's a Virgo. Says, now, are you a real Virgo? And she is. That means, by definition, you don't have to follow your sign, but if you're a Virgo, things are well organized.
Yeah.
She got the job, by the way.
Well, that's great. That's great. I'm looking forward to meeting her. What's her name?
Jeanette.
Jeanette. Okay. So next time I'm there, I'm going to say hi to Jeanette.
She won't be in for another week, but, you have to give 2 weeks notice, so a week and a half she'll be back.
Yeah. Okay. Dr. Shealy, flu is spreading across the country, and what I read is it's in every state right now except for Hawaii. And if I were in Hawaii, I'd probably want to restrict air travel inbound. But as the flu spreads, hospitals are doing something that's very interesting. Probably the right thing, but maybe not so welcome. And that is they're saying, well, if you are a young visitor, you're not welcome in the hospital because it is so darn dangerous, because hospitals are places where people are really sick. They're so sick, they're in the hospital. They're not, mildly sick, they're sick. So for the young people, a hospital in Detroit is saying young people are not welcome for their own safety. When we come back, can you comment on visiting people in the hospital? And then let's talk about how do we prevent getting the flu, because it could be deadly. Dr. Norman Shealy and I will be right back. Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, and we're talking about the flu and how deadly it is. And in Michigan, it's got one of the highest incidents of flu in the country. And so there's a hospital in in Michigan who's doing something about it, and they're saying children under 12 are forbidden to enter the intensive care unit for newborns, and they're very concerned about disease coming into and going out of the hospital. Dr. Shealy, what are your thoughts about visiting, going to visit someone who's sick in the hospital?
Well, it's a good idea to restrict it not just to people, younger people, but to anybody who's got even the slightest bit of sniffles. Now, for a minimum of 12 years, I have not had a viral illness. And the reason for that is that I take 50,000 units of vitamin D3 once a week. And if I felt, maybe once a year, I have just sort of a feeling of what I call knocking at the door. If a virus feeling, it's not there. But that day and 3 days in a row, I take 150,000 units. And that inevitably has prevented me from going into the full thing. So basically, if you weigh 140 pounds or more, I recommend 50,000 units once a week for everybody under 140, maybe every 10 days. Now, you also must have some vitamin K2, at least 100 micrograms every day to get the D3 to work well. But if everybody did that, we would cut the incidence of flu, colds by at least 80+%.
So, Dr. Shealy, but that's not what's being recommended by mass media. They're saying flu shots, right?
Now, when have I ever agreed with mass media on anything? I think mass media should cram it. Go away. If everybody paid attention to them the way I do, they would have no reason to exist.
While I was at the university, my parents decided to get a flu shot. This was back in the 70s. And they never told me, but they thought they were going to die. They felt like it was so bad, what the flu that they got as a result of the flu shot. They never discussed with me getting it beforehand, but they did it on their own, and they said they would never do it again. And let me ask you this, Dr. Shealy, do you know of people who have gotten flu shots and have gotten really sick, or maybe even have possibly died as a result?
Well, I don't personally know anyone who's died, but I know many people who've had a severe flu-like reaction, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, right now, even the CDC is admitting that this year's flu vaccine is not very effective. Well, it's never been that effective, but this year it may be 30, 40%. Is it worth the risk? No.
Mm-hmm. You know, Dr. Shealy, I was thinking several days ago, actually last week, about why is it that our seniors seem to pass away around Christmas time? Why is it? And I've been thinking
gone
about
on for a very, very long time. My father and at least two of his brothers died in the 3-day period around Christmas, before the day of or the day after Christmas. And the death rate, those 3 days, is the highest 3-day death rate in the country. You know, just a lot of emotional kerfuffle that goes on in those days.
Mm-hmm. There's something that I was thinking about, physical reason, and I was wondering what your thoughts are on this. During the Christmas holidays, if you will, several things happen all at once. One, typically it's colder than usual. And it's colder than in the summer, that's for sure. And seniors, when there's snow and ice and it's cold, they tend to stay inside. So they're enjoying more indoor air pollution. They're enjoying less sun because they're staying inside. Okay? And, I was thinking about photocells, photovoltaic panels like we use to generate our electricity here at the farm. Well, the sunlight frees electrons. And I'm thinking, is there a relationship with the body where the sunlight is necessary for freeing electrons so that the body can operate more properly and to better efficiency, and the result being improved health? And then when you add to that sugar, which is not good for anybody, and you said it's toxic, for years on this broadcast. So now we have indoor air pollution, lack of sunlight, increasing sugar. Can they all be contributing to the demise of our seniors right around the holidays? Is that possible, Dr. Shealy?
I think it's probable. And so all the more reason, however, to take care of yourself all the time with adequate D3 and K2.
And what is how do you recommend we consume K2?
Well, you can get 100 micrograms. Many multivitamins have that much in it. Mm-hmm. Basically, the evidence, unless you're taking rat poison, Coumadin, warfarin, it's safe to take 15 milligrams of K2. And the K2 helps to prevent calcification of the arteries as well as improve your immune system.
Now, is that similar to the potassium K for potassium? Is that similar to the potassium we would get in a banana?
No, K2 is a vitamin. It's vitamin K2. It has no relationship to potassium.
Okay. Very good. All right, so we're looking at 100 micrograms of K2, vitamin K2.
That's
okay,
absolute
plus minimum, okay. Plus 50,000 units of vitamin D3 once a week. And if you feel that virus feeling, if you feel the precursor to not feeling well, you can take up to 150,000 units of D3 for 3 days in a row.
Right.
Okay. And then what about vitamin C, plain old vitamin C? Or is there a better vitamin C like yours?
Well, of course, the evidence is quite good that taking vitamin C with MSM, methylsulfonomethane, is twice as effective as taking vitamin C alone. Again, the recommended daily intake by your government, I refuse to call it mine, is 60 milligrams of vitamin C. Back in the late 70s, Sharaskin showed that the optimal dose then was 1,000 milligrams a day of vitamin C. So I think 1,000 to 2,000 a day for average adult, plus the 500 to 1,000 milligrams of the NSM, which you get out of my youth formula, is the ideal way to take the vitamin C.
And that's what I consume, Dr. Shealy. I consume actually a minimum of 3 of your Dr. Shealy's youth formula, 3 of those a day, minimum. Sometimes as many as 6. But, and I got to tell you, I feel so much better when I take it. And I actually write a list down of what I do, Dr. Shealy, is I take my supplements and I try to space them out. And I have a 70-page spiral notebook that I purchased at the Chinese factory outlet. And I write in the left-hand side of the page the day or the time and what I consume. So I make sure that I do consume what I want to consume, and I've got a record of it. And I put the date on the top of the page. I keep turning the pages, and I do consume Dr. Shealy's youth formula many times per day. So, class, if you want to get the same vitamin C with MSM that I consume, just go to normshealy.com, normshealy.com, and you'll be able to order it. Now, if you're in the Springfield area, you can stop in at Dr. Shealy's clinic, and you can buy it over the counter the way I do. So, Dr. Shealy, can you give us an address for your clinic in Springfield?
2840 East Chestnut Expressway. It's on the corner of East Chestnut Expressway and Prince Lane. I tried to get it on King Lane, but they didn't have one.
2840 East Chestnut Expressway, Springfield, Missouri. And Dr. Shealy, the phone number of your clinic, please?
351-5221.
Yeah, area code 417, class. Area code 417-351-5221. Dr. Shealy, if one of our class wants to chat with you about their medical concerns, are you available for consultation on the phone?
Oh, yes. I do phone and Skype consultations.
Okay. And how long are those consultations?
Well, Well, they could schedule a half hour or an hour. It depends on how much time they want. I feel the least amount of time I can talk to a person without seeing them is 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. And even in the office, when I'm seeing people in person, they can ask for what we call a focus visit, where they only schedule it for 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and during these visits, or on the phone, because most of our broadcast classes, heck, all over the world, if they want to have a consultation with you, what can be accomplished in 30 minutes?
Well, actually, quite a lot, because we email them 3 forms that I like to have. I mean, it takes them like a minimum of a half hour to fill out the forms, and they send those back to me, so I have those, and most of the time I'm able to look at those before the official consultation. So I've saved a lot of time and have a lot of background just from that alone. But we can, I can't obviously do an examination. Sometimes I have to say, you've got to have certain lab tests or even x-rays. And most of the time I can make recommendations of at least where to start in getting back on track.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So class, that number, 417-351-5221. We'll be right back. Dr. Shealy, I was reading an article in the Daily Mail, and it says that junk food is as harmful to your body as a life-threatening disease, study claims. Fast food causes the immune system to act... Yeah. I knew that was the case. Fast food causes the immune system to act as if it's being attacked by a serious infection. Eating a burger and fries could cause DNA changes that increase the risk of developing major illnesses. Junk food causes inflammatory responses that increase the risk of developing chronic health conditions. That's what this says. Goes on to say...
I've been saying that for 40 years.
Yes. Yeah. So, Dr. Shealy, McDonald's. If I were to say, pick a word that comes to your mind first when I say the word McDonald's, what comes to your mind?
Junk.
Scientists at the university...
By the way, they're not any better.
We're not just picking on McDonald's. Dr. Shealy, interesting. You and I have been talking about this for years. Do you know that McDonald's has never contacted me and said, hey, would you guys mind knocking it off? They haven't said a word.
I think we're lucky they haven't sued us for slander or something, but it's not slander.
Well,
fact is fact.
Yeah. And it says here that researchers say findings could explain the link between fast food and the hardening of the arteries, since the typical deposits largely consist of lipids and immune cells. How about that?
All true. Now, I would remind you that General Foods is just as difficult and bad. Kellogg's is just as difficult and bad. Mm-hmm. Campbell's soup is just as difficult and bad. Mm-hmm. I mean, the food industry is as bad as the tobacco industry. That simple.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. When you go into a supermarket, you see boxes and cans and bags that are brightly colored and lots of graphics and but what about it? It's what I would consider extruded food. Maybe we should call it extruded calories. Is it really food?
Well, it's a disgrace, but it's dog food. The packaged dog food, which isn't very good either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this article goes on to say fast food meals are typically high in fat, sugar, and sodium. They've been linked to many adverse health effects, including an increased risk of diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and colon cancer. Well, that makes sense to me.
Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, the play goes on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just as bad as a gun in the head.
Yeah, it's slower, though, right?
Oh, much slower.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking for some... it says the inflammatory response causes newly activated immune cells to migrate to altered blood vessel walls. When they get too large, they can burst, leading to clots and an increased risk of heart attack or stroke. So if you think about this, these are the words that we hear, of people complaining of diseases. They're talking about hardening of the arteries. They're talking about heart attack, stroke, cancer. That's what those are just some of the things that they're talking about. And
they are all part of habits. I've said it for many, many years. If everyone just had the 5 basic habits, within 25 years, average life expectancy would go from 78 to 100. So we would close a minimum of 75% of all hospitals. That's all it would take.
Mm-hmm. And in the Springfield area, it looks to me like there's a hospital building on every block. It's unbelievable. Really. Aren't you seeing that, Dr. Shealy? I mean, everywhere you look, there's Cox Health, Cox Hospital, and Mercy, or Mercy Less.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, we'll be right back. Dr. Norm Shealy is with us, normshealy.com, NORMSHEALY.com. Dr. Shealy, in England, there's a town that's been told to boil the water, and they're closing primary schools after a deadly diarrhea and vomiting bug is found in the tap water of thousands of homes. And it says that people have been told to boil their water until further notice. Parasite Cryptosporidium has been found, which can cause nausea and fever. And so it's pretty serious what's happening to the water supply in England. So then we fast forward and we say, okay, so we don't have to worry. We're not in England. Many of us listening to this broadcast are in the United States. Well, we've got mudslides and we've got flooding and so forth, and the wells can easily be contaminated with flooding conditions and mudslides in California and so forth. So, Dr. Shealy, are you concerned about our water supply here in the United States?
Well, if I lived in a city, I would be very concerned, even without everything else that's going on. Chlorine and fluoride are poisons. So I do not believe you should drink those waters. They're slightly less toxic than the bacteria that cause diarrhea and stuff like that, but still they're not good for your body. And so if you live in a city, you must have some kind of decontaminant, if you will, or removal from the chlorine and the fluoride. Now, we all know every once in a while, once a year, I hear, I listen to the news primarily when I'm driving in and out of town, and I hear, I would say a minimum once a year, some communities been told to boil water. But that meant that the chlorine was not adequate to take care of the contamination.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I remember years ago when we lived on the East Coast, Mrs. Finelli came home from work. Those were the years we had jobs. And she said she met a guy who said, don't drink the water, and for a few days. And she said, why? And first she asked who he was, and he said that he worked for the water department. And this was in a city, actually in the suburbs. He said, don't drink the water. He worked for the water department. And he said what happened was there was some flooding because of the rain, and there was a cross-connect between the sewage treatment facility and the water supply.
Simple mechanical problem.
Simple mechanical problem where the sewage was cross-connecting and the freshwater supply was containing sewage. And so you can't really see it. But, Dr. Shealy, for those who have ever watched a pool, a swimming pool being filled for the first time with city water, you look at that water and you think it's pretty clear, in the glass. Well, when you see it 8 feet deep, you just might say, wow, we're drinking that stuff? Gosh. It doesn't look the same when you're looking at 8 feet of it. So what I did, Dr. Shealy, was I bought something that I'd never purchased before. This is brand new to me. Of course, I've heard of it, but I've never bought one. And that is an ultraviolet light water treatment system. And really all it is it's a vessel made, a cylinder. Think of it like 3 feet long, a 3 foot long tube of stainless steel. And let's say it's a couple inches in diameter. And inside that is another tube, which is a quartz tube. And inside the quartz tube, roughly 1 inch in diameter, is an ultraviolet light tube, about 3 feet long. So what happens is the water enters one end of this tube. The ultraviolet light is shining on the water. The water passes through ultraviolet light. The water surrounds this quartz tube, and it exits. And it destroys the bacteria. Have you been involved with that or used one of those?
We have it on our well.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason we have it on our well is that our magnesium lotion is made here, and we want to be sure that the water that the foundation in it is sterile.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So is this something that, for those of us who have wells, as you do and we do, and many of our listeners who live in the countryside, we have our own water wells. Would you suggest that we consider this, or is this
it's a very inexpensive thing. I don't remember how much it is. It has to be checked once a year to be sure that it's working properly, but it's, I think it's a great preventive.
Okay. I found one on the internet. I bought one that's way, way, way larger than we would need, and I ordered it with extra ultraviolet light tubes and an extra quartz lens, if you will, which is another tube. So I wanted to make sure that, because it's from China, and I wanted to make sure that I had spare parts in case they ever decide to not sell us anything anymore or go out of business or change the design. So I bought all that, and it was less than $200 for everything. Now, of course, that's uninstalled. So I'm going to install that. And now, you don't notice any difference in the taste or the appearance of the water, right? The water looks the same, tastes the same, right? With or without it, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't change the taste at all.
Yeah. Okay, and it runs on a small amount of electricity. So there are no moving parts in this particular ultraviolet light water treatment system. And you can find them on eBay, if you'd like, and you can order them. But I would suggest that you consider getting the extra bulbs, because if you get the bulbs shipped, and the bulbs are fragile, they're about 3 feet long, so there's an extra cost in packing them for shipping. So if you're going to do this, you might want to do it all at once and get some extra bulbs at the same time and drive down your cost. And I did a calculation on the length of service that these bulbs provide, and it's typically, if you divide it out of hours of on time, which is going to be 24 hours a day. You're going to be running your bulb 24 hours a day, and it's about 1 year, plus or minus a few days.
Exactly.
So it looks like, the tube lasts about a year. So I just wanted to share that. Dr. Shealy, former Vice President Joe Biden has made a claim on the internet that his son died of cancer, and he believes that there's a link to his son's military service. And here's what he's saying. Daily Mail, again. Joe Biden claims toxic military burn pits, like fire pits, may have been a significant factor in his son's death from terminal brain cancer after serving in Iraq. The U.S. military used burn pits in Iraq and Afghanistan, which, Dr. Shealy, you just mentioned previously in hour number 1 of this broadcast, to get rid of waste, using jet fuel. So they want to burn what they consider waste or trash or something they want to destroy using jet fuel. And Joe Biden thinks that his son succumbed to brain cancer after serving in Iraq due to this. And it says a growing swell of research is showing the link between burn pits, B-U-R-N, space pits, P-I-T-S, and cancer. For the first time, Joe Biden acknowledged that there could be a link between the pits and the cancer, which killed his son, Beau, B-E-A-U. So I guess what we're talking about is pollution, air pollution, things that are burned. And the military is like really good at destroying things, burning things, blowing things up. And here we have the vice president's son dying of brain cancer, and the vice president thinks that there could be a link between that and military operations and actions. Seems likely to me. How about you, Dr. Shealy?
Probable. Yep.
Yeah.
Agree.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I was reading another article talking about, scientists seem to think that there are things that we can do to protect our health. And these are daily supplements that we can take, and turmeric is on the list. It's used in South Asian cooking. I use turmeric at our house. I consume turmeric, and they say that it reduces inflammation and helps wounds heal. Dr. Shealy, your thoughts?
Probable. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of goodies out there. There's many good things out there. There are bad ones. It's just that, unfortunately, the good ones don't get the PR.
Mm-hmm. Goes on to say things like that it may, let me say that a different way, may also help protect against a range of diseases, including rheumatoid arthritis, cardiovascular disease, dementia, and some cancers. We're talking about turmeric. And I'm wondering,
no question. Coumarin or turmeric compounds are anti-inflammatory. Mm-hmm. And of the natural starters, I think they're the top of the list.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I consume turmeric curcumin every day, actually 2 capsules a day at least. Do you think, is it possible that I could overdose on that, Dr. Shealy?
You'd probably have to take 10 or more.
Okay.
I hope you get some that have black pepper in it.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Turmeric is much more effective if it contains some black pepper or piperine. It's twice as good if it has a little black pepper with it.
Okay, well, is there, I've never heard of anybody just taking black pepper, like a quarter of a teaspoon or some amount, putting it in water, stirring it up and drinking it. Is there a way that...
Either, but I do take turmeric or curcumin. I'm going to walk over and get the bottle because I know I get one that has piperine in it. And there are many of them that do, and there are more that don't. But it's so safe, and you might as well get optimal. Optimal effect. The one I've chosen is by Nature's something small print. I can't read it.
Okay, so you're saying that
glasses required for this one.
You're saying that turmeric is twice as effective if consumed with black pepper. Is that correct?
Okay. Nature's Nutrition is the company I've got. It has the pepperine in it.
Class, I've never met Kyle in Montana, but it seems like we do the same things and think quite a bit alike. And welcome, Kyle.
Good morning. How are you both, gentlemen?
You're doing great. What's up?
Hey, I've got a quick question for you. I know we're down to the end of the show. Dr. Shealy, my wife mixes up this turmeric with about a 20% black pepper, organic black pepper blend, and then encapsulates it. And I have been taking between 15 and 20 of them larger capsules a day because I do have this disease similar to MS, and it creates a lot of pain. But I've been taking 15 to 20 of these for probably close to 13 years now.
Wow.
And I have not noticed any long-term effects whatsoever, other than I know the other thing, I've even added more stuff in there that has helped the joint pain, and that is a slice of pineapple a day. Cut the, ring off of it, just a slice of pineapple a day, and I drink a half of a glass of organic tart cherry juice twice a day, and that keeps the inflammation at bay for me. But it takes that much to keep the inflammation down enough. And I was wondering, do you know of anything that that's pretty dramatic, I realize. And do you think there's a reason why I'm having to do so much to keep the joint pain down? Other than I'm around 61 years old and I just started working out again for the first time in about 38 years. So,
well, if you have some kind of autoimmune disease, which sounds as if you could,
I do.
One of the problems. The only other alternative that I know, and it's a slow and year-long process, there's a product called Autoimmune X, and it seems to reestablish the normal bacteria in the intestines that gradually can wipe out autoimmune diseases. But I wouldn't necessarily, if what you're doing works and you're not having any symptoms from it, I'd hate to rock the boat.
Yeah. Okay. I was just wondering if you thought that was too much, or what the side effects possibly would be if a person was taking too much turmeric with the black pepper.
No, I think you'd probably have, some kind of intestinal symptoms if you were taking too much, and since you don't, then good on you, mate, as our Australian friends would say.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, that's kind of what I wanted. You guys jumped on that, and that got me to thinking about it, because you just never know. You got to be careful about some of these things, but usually you don't have to worry near enough about this natural stuff as you do any of the drugs, so. Absolutely, unequivocal.
Yep. Kyle, I mentioned that you and I think a lot alike, and we do some of the same things, and we don't talk about them. We find out that we do some of the same things later on. Well, so I was thinking about doing exactly what you're talking about. And do you just buy turmeric like in the kind of container you might get for kitchen spices, one of these large containers, and then make your own capsules? Is that what you do?
Yeah, we order it from Azure, Azure Standard. They have truck routes that run up here in Montana. I don't know, I doubt they run back that far east, but they're I think they're over in Oregon or something like that. But we order by the pound because it's extremely cheaper to do it that way. I think it's like $13 for a whole pound of it, and then we order the capsules by the 1,000 because you just get whole, big packages, and then the organic ground pepper we get from them, and my wife will sit here when she's too tired to do anything else or just wanting to relax for a while. She really will seriously sit there and do that, and she takes it too now. But I'm finding that, for my problems, I can't take 2 or 3 a day. It just doesn't work. I've got to get up around 15 or 20 in order to do that.
Mm-hmm. Kyle, what is the ratio of turmeric to black pepper?
We use 5 to 1.
Yeah, so 20%.
Wow. So 20% black pepper?
16%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of black pepper, isn't it?
It ain't bad. You can't taste it. I want it to really work well. Is that what Dr. Shealy recommends?
Yeah, that sounds great.
There you go. Dr. Shealy, thank you so much for being with us. Kyle, thank you for being with us as well. Give my best to your wife, Sharon.